Once I reached the bathroom, I was scared to death. My heart pounding through my chest, pressing against the tight underwire of the lace bra. I took a few steps, refusing to turn on the light, but my curiosity got the best of me. I closed my eyes, turned on the light, then slowly glanced into the grimy bathroom mirror. I didn't see a victim or a freak. I saw Briana. I admired the outfit, even giving a quick twirl. And for the first time in my life, beneath the cold Seattle sky, I felt like I was finally home. I was so distracted I didn't hear Gina come back in, recording me on video as I moved like a newly born lady. "What are you doing?" I shouted. "Just capturing the moment," she replied, snapping more pictures. "Don't worry, I'll send them to you." Gina walked away, leaving me to my thoughts and the brand new reflection staring back at me. I spent those few seconds admiring Gina's handiwork, continuing to take mental notes of how she transformed me. Then a loud bang broke my concentration, and I scurried to find myself alone. I rushed to the curtains that were now wide open and quickly grabbed them and pulled them shut. I peeked out to see that the car and Gina were gone, driving away in the early morning mist. I closed the curtain and turned, leaning against the wall. I didn't know what to do. In a matter of hours, the sun would shed light on the new day, and on me. I had to think fast, but the more I thought, the more I realized I had only one chance. I had to get home without being noticed, but that was next to impossible without having money and transportation. As I looked around the filthy room, he glanced over to the table. Sitting there was a small purse. Gina didn't just forget about it. She left it there on purpose. In it was my driver's license, my phone, a tube of lipstick, a compact, 3 condoms, and a note. "We'll talk when you get home. Have a great day." The moment I picked up the purse and looked inside, I became what I saw when we arrived. I was a lady of the evening. With no experience, but desperate to reach my safe place, I peeked back through the curtains again and knew time was dwindling away. I needed to think of something, fast. I just didn't realize how fast. A loud bang at the door startled me. "Checkout time," the manager shouted. Gina was good. She knew exactly when, where, and how to manipulate the situation in her favor. I had no choice. I took a deep breath, picked up the purse, and stepped out into the cool night air that hit me like a physical blow. I walked across the parking lot, my black ankle boots clicking on the wet asphalt. I saw a few men leaving their rooms, their eyes scanning the lot. I had to navigate the city streets of Seattle, only a few miles from home, but might as well have been light years away. And I had to navigate the wet thoroughfares, dressed as a woman. I buried my chin into the collar of the oversized sweater, my heart racing so hard I thought it might bruise my ribs. Every block was a gauntlet. Whenever someone walked in my direction, I buried my chin deeper and quickened my pace. Ironically, the sweater and tights provided enough of a shield against the cold, but it didn't stop my trembling body, as my mind was entirely focused on maintaining the disguise. The freezing rain had stopped, and the sun was breaking through the thick gray clouds as morning approached. Once I turned onto my street, I quickened the pace and reached the door just as my neighbors were revealing themselves and beginning their day. Without a key, I expected the door to be locked, and I would be forced to knock or press the loud doorbell that was loud enough to disturb the very quiet morning. Fortunately, Gina left the door unlocked, and I slipped inside unnoticed. I was exhausted, my feet aching in the low heels. But a new kind of heat was blooming in my chest. It was anger, tempered by the cold, calculated confidence I had seen my sister Brittany use to survive Gina. I had just enough energy left to make it up the stairs and into my room. But Gina was not letting me off that easy, as she was sitting on them, blocking my path to my sanctuary. She was just waiting for me to come in, and with her phone ready, resumed snapping more pictures. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice low. "Just capturing the moment," Gina said, as she sat there with a sinister smile. "Listen, I know you're going away to school in a few months. I'd prefer you left sooner. But tonight was fun, so I'm going to give you a choice." "A choice?" I asked. She offered me an out: leave now with a pittance of money, or stay and learn how to act like a little lady, serving her by performing chores, shopping, and dressing for her amusement. I looked at her, really looked at her. I remembered the nightstand drawer I had found open, the evidence of her own secrets, the men she had on the side while my father was traveling. Then I remembered Brittany's warning. Skeletons in the closet can create serious problems. That warning works both ways. Why do this? I asked, my courage beginning to grow. Because I can, she sneered, and because your father promised me I wouldn't have to deal with you, but he went back on our deal. Either way, I win. You don't want anyone to see these pictures, do you? With a growing paranoia, I reacted. I chose to give in and surrender. I think I'll go. Just let me change and get a few things. Gina was surprised at my decision. It's not the choice she wanted me to make. She wanted me to suffer. The choice is yours, of course, but before you decide, you may want to take a look at these. She clicked send on her phone. My phone, buzzing in my purse, began to ding. One after another, the images appeared. Briana in the motel. Briana admiring herself in the mirror. Briana looking like a newly born lady. It was clear that Gina didn't just want me gone. She wanted me humiliated and broken. I sat on the armrest of my father's leather recliner, tugging at the miniskirt. I felt the familiar weight of humiliation, but then I remembered my therapy sessions. I realized Gina had a weakness. She was the trophy wife who didn't want to lose the big house, the fancy clothes, and all of the pampering. I don't think Dad wants to see this, I said, my voice steady. Gina sipped a glass of wine, looking bored. I don't think anyone does, she replied. If Dad finds out, I countered, stepping into the offensive, I won't be the only one looking for a place to live. Gina paused, the glass halfway to her lips. The manipulation was failing. She realized with a flicker of annoyance that she was now being blackmailed. How do you figure that? She asked. If you send those anywhere. I continued, I'll be humiliated. I'll be called names and I'll have to start over. But I'm young, Gina. I can go somewhere new where no one knows me. I wouldn't be losing much. I stood up, the height of the boots making me feel taller than her for the first time. But you, I'm not sure you want to try and start over. You found your sugar daddy, and I know you don't want to give that up. What are you doing? She whispered, trying to figure out what I was up to. Go ahead, send the pictures to Dad, I said with a cold smile. I'm sure he'd be very interested in what really goes on here while he's traveling. I'm sure he'd love to know how his wife is mentoring his son. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by the sound of the Seattle rain that resumed and began peppering the window. Gina's eyes darted around, calculating the risk. She couldn't lose the house. She couldn't lose the life my father provided. I take it you want something in return, she suggested, trying to regain her footing. I do, I said. I'll stay, just until I go away to college. But I have conditions. Which are, you give me all the pictures. You delete everything from your phone. No one knows about this. Not Dad, not Brittany, no one. Agreed, she said quickly. Is that all? I looked at the vanity case that was sitting on the coffee table next to the larger suitcase. I thought about how I felt walking through the city, the strange peace that had come with the transformation, the way it had cleared the stress that was dominating my brain. I didn't want to just be a victim of her game. I wanted to master the art she had used as a weapon. No, I said, my voice firm. I want you to teach me everything you did today. I want to know how to do the makeup, the hair, the walk. And I want you to buy me a complete wardrobe, my own clothes, no more borrowing from the closet. Gina was taken aback. She hadn't expected me to demand the transformation. She had wanted to break me, but instead, she opened a door I was finally ready to walk through. You want me to teach you? She asked. Everything, I replied. It was a deal that gave us both what we wanted. Gina kept her secrets and her lifestyle, and I finally got the opportunity to answer the questions I had been afraid to ask my reflection for years. As the winter continued to blanket the gray Seattle streets, it also helped wash away some of the fear I had. The boy named Brian was becoming a man, but this man would embrace something for the first time, the emotional touch of a woman, or at least a believable facsimile. My submissiveness would begin to fade, and for the first time Briana was becoming more of a reality. No longer a headless reflection, but a person in my life that was more than a therapist. She finally became a true friend.